So we start Ned 12 with Pycelle treating Ned's wounds and also telling him that Tywin has been corresponding with the Queen and is very angry at the fact that Ned has sent the Brotherhood out against the Mountain, which leads Ned to antagonise Cersei further by dropping information to Pycelle, knowing that he will full well go back and tell her immediately afterwards. So we see that Ned has figured out that Pycelle is indeed Cersei's spy on the council, and yet hasn't figured out yet that the others are also spies and plotters. Baelish then arrives and begins to recall that there was information coming from all over regarding free riders flocking to Casterly Rock, showing that Baelish currently has his plots involved around the growing escalations between Ned and Tywin. It is revealed that Robert is still hunting in the Kingswood, and apparently the White Hart that they were hunting has been killed, but not by Robert himself, but in fact by a pack of wolves, it would seem, which is interesting given the previous symbology we have around the White Hart supposedly representing a weirwood. The fact that it's killed by wolves is interesting, as this may imply the true ending of our story here. The Starks will be the ones to end the war and save the day by defeating the others, or the creatures created from the white trees. It is revealed that despite losing the heart, Robert has heard tale of a monstrous boar and has continued to pursue it. However, others from the party have returned to the capital this very day, including the Royces, Balon Swan, and 20 others from the party, along with Prince Joffrey. Now, this is interesting as this would imply to us that this is where Baelish got his information, which means he either got his information from the Royces, Joffrey, Balon Swan, or somebody else in their party. And given that they are named, I strongly believe that it is actually Balon Swan. And we also get note here that the Hound has also returned alongside Joffrey and is presumably most wroth at the fact that someone else has been sent to kill his brother, as he himself hates him and wants to be the one to do it. Baelish leaves, but not before revealing to us that he is heading to have food with Lady Tanda and also her fatted calves or daughters, showing us just again how exactly Baelish views women. The man is very clearly showing incel tendencies. Before Littlefinger actually leaves, he clocks the book on the lineages that Ned has and subtly starts to make hints to try and gauge whether Ned has actually realised the truth by this point. And Ned, at this point, has started to become annoyed by Littlefinger's constant meddling, and so acts as if he has not actually discovered the truth in order to throw Littlefinger off. However, it is unclear whether this actually works on Littlefinger. He debates himself on whether or not he will manage to pull off revealing what he knows to Robert, as he is full well aware that it will cause strife within the kingdoms, and then he reveals to us that he has already got a ship set to sail in 3 days to take his daughters to safety before Robert arrives back in order to reveal the news to him. However, Ned's remembering of histories and his morality give him pause once again, as he remembers when Tywin laid the bodies of Rhaegar's children before the Iron Throne to Robert, and fears such a thing happening once again with Cersei's children, and ruse the idea of Robert becoming a second Mad King as a result. Now we find that Ned now has Homard in command of his household guard, and this is something of a concern given that Tomard has been revealed to us to be somewhat of an unreliable character in regards to his ability to think rationally, as he can easily be outsmarted by Arya, a 9-year-old girl, which Ned does consider when he realises that in order to aid the Brotherhood, he has in fact sent off half of his household guard, including all of his best swordsmen. Ned has Tomard deliver him to the Godswood and then sends him away with a letter before he awaits the arrival of Cersei. He arrives at sunset, and we see when she removes her hood that she still bears the bruise from where Robert struck her, showing us that not much time has passed since the previous chapter where she had this injury inflicted on her. Openly admits to Ned when he reveals he knows her secret that she and Jaime are together, and compares it to the Targaryens' wedding brother and sister for 300 years to keep their bloodlines pure. And she considers it more than that, as they are twins. They are one person in two bodies and shared a womb together. And interestingly enough, she reveals that he came into the world holding onto her foot, which would imply that she was born first, and so Jaime is technically her little brother, which makes me wonder if this is the very earliest of hints we get as to the true identity of the Valonqar being Jaime. It is revealed to us that apparently, as far as genetics go in this world, it seems that the trend has been whenever a Baratheon and a Lannister interbreed, there always seems to be a black-haired child born. The genetics always favour the dark hair over the gold. And so Ned questions how Cersei has never managed to have a child by Robert. And then she defiantly reminds him that she did once. However, she got rid of it. She aborted the child. And the only reason that Robert has not realised that these are not his actual children is because he is so drunk during his sexual escapades that he doesn't even remember what happens, which is actually quite sad for Cersei when you think about like what she has to have put up with all her life with him. And she reveals to Ned exactly why she's come to loathe him so. On their wedding night, drunk, Robert crawled on top of her, stinking of wine, and whispered Lyanna's name. Cersei even attempts here now to plead with Ned and gain his trust in order to prevent him from revealing the truth and prevent bloodshed and war, claiming that she does not want war and neither does he, and to be kind to him and he will not regret it. However, when he asks her if she made the same offer to John Arryn, she slaps him in the face, which leads him to coldly call back to her previous incident with the punch, where he says, "I shall wear that as a badge of honour." And then she lashes out, mentioning that Ned himself has a bastard, and then questions who was the mother, some Dornish peasant, some random whore, or was it the grieving sister, Lady Ashara, who apparently threw herself into the sea after finding out about the death of Arthur Dane, which gives us a bit more context on the events surrounding the Tower of Joy. Ned, following the Tower of Joy, visited Starfall, it would appear, and either spent time with Ashara or caused her death following revealing what happened at the Tower of Joy to her. Now, Ned continues on to tell her that in spite of this apparent hypocrisy on his part, he will still reveal the truth to Robert when he returns and instructs her that out of mercy, he wants her to be gone by the time he does so. And when she comments on being exiled, he notes that it is a better deal than what her father served to Rhaegar and his children. However, this does not, in fact, lead to Cersei doing what he wants, and she comments that her wrath would outmatch Robert's. And so she makes the historical quote here that when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. Either Ned has to go all out, or she will. One of them has to win and one of them has to lose. The stars start to come out as the sun finally sets and she leaves the Godswood. And this is probably the exact tipping point where Ned does not realise that he has basically lost this battle.